if you have a kid whose wiring is not necessarily all that healthy and normal for his age,
Hmm.
you may have to do it more often. For example, my oldest son, you sent him to the corner 3 times, he never did it again. My 4-year-old, when we adopted him, we sent him to the corner 29 times before he finally got it through his head. Oh, wait, you mean if I do that, I have to go to the corner? Oh, I think I'm getting it now. There's the difference.
Will my adopted child be okay? What does their future hold? Did I do something wrong? Hi, neighbor. I'm Tim, an adoptive parent and adoption life coach. If you're feeling anxious or uncertain about your parenting journey, you're in the right place. I help Christian adoptive parents with practical tools and emotional support anchored in timeless biblical principles. Anchors of hope and healing are on the way. For over 25 years, I've leaned on wise counsel and biblical principles to navigate the ups and downs of my adoption journey. Through this podcast, I bring you meaningful conversations like the one you're about to hear with experts who understand adoption trauma. I also share practical biblical insights drawn from my own experience, because I believe when Scripture and wise counsel work together, real healing begins. If you've been struggling to apply God's Word to your adoption story, I have something for you. A resource rooted in Scripture and shaped by the real struggles and victories of the adoption journey. This resource blends biblical encouragement with practical tools for healing. If I can be a conduit of this healing, please reach out to me. Tim at anchorsofencouragement.com. That's Tim at anchorsofencouragement.com. I'll include the address in the show notes. Your next step toward healing starts here. Let's take it together. Adoption is rewarding and redemptive, but also messy in ways you only understand once you're living it. Hi, neighbor. Today I'm happy to bring to you a heartfelt and practical conversation with my neighbor from Ohio, Dr. Ray Guarendi. Dr. Ray shares story after story, along with practical guidance and hard-earned wisdom. There was simply too much good content for one episode, so I've split it into two. In the first episode, Dr. Ray shared his own adoption journey, why he and his wife kept saying yes, as well as the hard realities, trauma histories, safety concerns, and behavioral challenges that every adoptive parent needs to be prepared for. You can listen to that conversation in episode 221. In this second part, Dr. Ray dives into the practical side of parenting, offering clear, confidence-building guidance on discipline, attachment, bonding, and how to persevere when parenting an adopted child feels overwhelming. I want to encourage you to grab a pen and paper. This conversation with Dr. Ray is packed with nuggets worth writing down. At the end, I'll share a biblical principle from my own adoption journey to help guide these conversations with faith and perspective. Today, I want to welcome my neighbor from North Canton, Ohio, Dr. Ray Guarendi. Dr. Ray is the father of 10 adopted children, clinical psychologist, author, professional speaker, and national radio and television host. His radio show, The Doctor Is In, can be heard on over 500 stations. Dr. Ray has given over 3,000 talks on various topics, including parenting, marriage, and family. He captivates audiences with his compelling humor-laced presentations, providing practical advice and proven techniques. Dr. Ray, it's good to have you here. I'm so thankful you're joining us today.
Hey, thanks, Tim. I appreciate the invite.
We're going to talk about some things today that I know will be helpful to adoptive parents, and with your unique perspective of being an adoptive parent yourself, as well as a clinical psychologist, you can address or speak to these issues that a lot of adoptive parents like myself have dealt with. Things that weren't talked about, but we found out later on were trauma-based. And so as we get into this conversation, you really did a good segue to get into what we want to talk about. The real challenges that adoptive families face that most people never hear about. You've addressed some of these with the drug and alcohol. What are some other things, other challenges that adoptive parents will face that they don't hear about?
Here's something I think adoptive parents really, really need to have. They have the love, okay? That's a given. Where
Yeah.
they got the love. All right. Where they're going to struggle, if they struggle, is in the area of discipline. Okay. This kid could be pushing harder. He could be more unruly. He could be a little more deceptive. Okay. Somebody asked my wife when the kids were little, they said, the lady from church said, what would you do if you gave a discipline to your child? Go to the corner, please, or go lay on your bed, or put your head down at the table. And they refused. And my wife said, I don't know. And the woman said, what do you mean you don't know? My wife said, they don't refuse. Now, what she meant by that was early on, if she said, for example, go to the corner, you're not allowed to do that to your sister, go stand in the corner, please. And they didn't. We shut down every privilege. Every single thing they had, we shut down. Your favorite cup's gone. Your stuffed animals are gone. You can't go outside. You have no toys. If we go to grandma's and your brother gets pie, you don't get pie. You didn't go to the corner yet, son. Until you go to the corner and serve the time you need to serve, all these things are shut down. Now, you don't have to do that very often, especially with little kids. You could do it with the big kids too, but with the little kids, you don't have to do that very often. And they learned very quickly, okay, I better just go to the corner.
Uh-huh.
Now, I tell adoptive parents, if you have that kind of calm, confident authority over this child, he may still misbehave a lot, but it ain't going to get ugly because you're going to be the parent in charge. That's critical. If you cannot get a kid to cooperate with his discipline, for example, getting up to go to school in the morning is a fight. Oh my gosh, he's dragging his feet. He's not getting up. I'm trying to get him up and I'm nagging him. The bus is coming. Every morning's horrible. And I tell parents, okay, try this. You tell him, I'm going to help you get ready for school. I don't want to fight with you in the morning anymore. I'll help you get ready. But oh, by the way, son, if I do help you get ready, that night you're going to bed an hour early. Now, you set the terms.
Uh-huh.
Kids are not dumb. Okay, he's going to realize I better pull my share of the load in the morning, or else I don't want to go to bed an hour early. I don't want to lose all my TV for the day. I don't want to do that. Instead of the nagging and the fighting and the arguing, if you don't have discipline control, you're going to look at this adopted kid and go, "What did I do to my life?"
Uh-huh. Those are good tips. Now, did you find that worked regardless of the physical challenges based upon the drug use?
Yes.
It did?
Here's the difference. Here's the difference.
Okay.
If you have a kid whose wiring is not necessarily all that healthy and normal for his age,
Mm-hmm.
you may have to do it more often. For example, my oldest son, you sent him to the corner 3 times, he never did it again. My 4-year-old, when we adopted him, we sent him to the corner 29 times before he finally got it through his head. Oh, wait, you mean if I do that, I have to go to the corner? Oh, I think I'm getting it now. There's the difference.
Okay. So it's not a one done. It might be
No,
29 and done.
maybe
Maybe.
29.
Maybe. Okay. Well, that's good to know because some of these kids are wired differently.
Well,
And
sure.
we're all wired differently. I mean, just be honest about it. But some kids have more challenges because of things out of their control. And
Yes.
so it's
The
trying to get the
research is
control.
overwhelming, Tim. The research is overwhelming that if you get bathed in drugs and alcohol in the womb, there is a pretty good chance that your temperament and your wiring as you grow up is going to be a little more shorting out, if you will.
Hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean good parenting can't do a lot to offset that. It just means the good parenting is going to have to be a little more perseverant to offset that.
Okay. The other thing I'm hearing too is that you had children from a wide spectrum, not only race, but you also had based upon things that the mother did before birth. And so you were able to blend all that together. Because I was wondering if potential parents are listening, would they want to maybe just try to help one child that has maybe alcohol issues or drug issues? But you were able to do it with all kinds of kids. Would you have any advice for that?
Our first 3 children really had a relatively safe womb environment,
Okay.
and we adopted them as infants. And if we would have stopped right there, Tim, we would have thought we were God's gift to parenting. Oh man, this is easy. We can do this. Oh, piece of cake. Look at these kids. Oh, everybody's telling us how sweet and wonderful they are. Yeah, well then, as I said to my wife, I said, honey, let's take some kids with special needs.
Uh-huh.
We've got the room here, we got the house. Let's do this. She agreed. She said, because Ray, I'm married to you and your special needs. I said, okay. So what happened then was that the kids that we adopted took a lot more discipline. And I remember saying to my wife when we adopted the twins, because they had been very undisciplined the first years of their lives, I said, honey, I'm starting to feel guilty because John and Joanna are getting more discipline than everybody else combined. I said, maybe we should lower our standards a little bit. And my wife said, Raymond, you big dummy. No, she didn't say that, Tim, but I could tell by the look on her face that's what she was thinking. She said, no, we don't change our standards. What we're going to do with John and Joanna is we're going to give a lot more hugs and kisses because we want them to know that what we're doing discipline wise is not something that because we don't like them,
Right.
it's because we love them. And they're going to know that the hugs and the kisses are going to be especially just given all the time. And that was part of it for us. You have to balance it out. If this kid over here of your five kids is the one who gets more discipline than the other four combined, then you're going to have to do something with that kid to offset the fact that he spends two-thirds of his life in the corner,
Yeah.
as opposed to his sister who did something wrong 2 years ago.
Well, now you say hugs and kisses. What are some other things that you have done?
Individual time with the kid. Individual
Okay.
time's important. Hey, Pop's going to run an errand. Hey, John, you want to come with me? I'm not going to take all nine of them with me. I never did that anyway. The
Uh-huh.
cops would stop me. I'll take one of them. Hey, come on with me, son. I'm going to the ball game. I'm playing basketball tonight. You come with me.
Okay.
That kind of thing. Because
Uh,
individual time with a parent is so critical. The kids love it. We did
sure.
a study once of strong families, and one of the things that the kids said more than anything else, I like one-on-one time with a parent.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering what that looked like beyond just the hugs and kisses, because again, adopted parents need to hear some tactical ways that they can apply these ideas that you're presenting to us today. One of the things we want to talk about, we're winding down our interview, but I wanted to address bonding and attachment
Hmm.
issues. Did you see an age in your children where attachment took place, or was it again just varied between individual children?
I'm going to say something quite controversial here, Tim. Okay. Now, many expert types, as well as parents, think that the core of the child's problem is attachment. The child is having these difficulties in school, he's having these difficulties socially relating, is because of attachment. Singularly attachment. Okay, I'm going to give you my response to that. You want to write this down? It might be hard to spell. Are you ready?
Sure.
Here's what's going on.
Now, for those of you who couldn't see Dr. Ray, he was sticking his tongue out at me, and
Gave you the raspberries.
yep. So I don't know if the sound came through the microphones, but
Okay.
I got the message. I hope you got it now too. Okay,
Here's what
good.
I mean.
Yeah.
I am not saying that some of these kids do not struggle to attach. Let's
Hmm.
say they've been in five foster homes. Well, you're going to expect that the kid's going to have a mindset that says, okay, this is just another one. I've been on my own for the last 6 years. You're just another faceless parade of adults going through my life. Okay, I got that part. Here's where it's more likely to be explainable. We talked about the risk factors for kids, the drugs, the alcohol, the neglect. That is what shapes the problems. The attachment is part of those problems. It's not the sole cause.
Okay.
It is reflected. We had some kids who immediately just saw us as mom and dad. That was it. We're mom and dad. No questions, no questions asked. We had some that it took them several years to realize this is my home. This is who I can count on. These are the people in my life who are not going to leave.
Hmm.
And it was just those kids. Okay, it was their experience. But those were also, Tim, the same kids who had the highest risk factors early in life.
Okay.
So I think the danger here is that you use attachment to explain everything. No, it's not like that. Attachment is more a result rather than a cause.
Now, again, in your experience, it was the ones who had more challenges that took longer to actually attach or connect with you. If those factors aren't present, drugs, alcohol, and so forth, can there still be those issues to connect, attach, and
Some of my older kids were hearing things from their peers. Oh, well, wait a minute. Why would your mom give you up? That's not your real mom and dad, is it? Now, prior to that, the kids never thought about that stuff. We were mom
okay,
and dad. They didn't even think about it. So
sure,
you're hearing these messages coming, and sadly, sometimes they come from adults.
right,
And some of my kids just thought it was ridiculous. I got a son right now, he's 29 years old, and some of his cohorts in that 20-year-old group go, "Well, I don't get it. I mean, how can you love your dad as much as you do? He's your adopted dad. And, if he was your real dad, it would be different." And my son blasts him out of the water because that's who he is. He says, "My dad means everything to me in the world." But we've also got a couple that are a little influenced by that kind of talk. They still see us as very much mom and dad, but the feedback from maybe a peer, which is, "Well, don't you wonder? I mean, why she didn't keep you? Don't you wonder where she's doing right now? I mean, you ever want to kind of try to find her?" I will share with you something that your adoptive parents listening probably are being misled on badly, Tim. If you were to watch Sunday night movies or if you were to watch documentaries, what percentage of adopted children would you think ultimately seek out birth parents?
I don't know,
Many
20%.
people, many people say 50. I can tell your experience at this because your percentage is lower. Many people say 50. Some say
Hmm.
60, 90. It's 10%,
Really?
roughly 10%. And it depends on the kid. Now,
Sure.
of my 10 children, uh, three of them wanted to seek out birth parents. Unfortunately, and this is kind of an unpleasant reality that our culture doesn't talk about. Sometimes that reunion is not good.
Hmm.
If this was a young mother who was struggling in life, who was making a shambles of her existence, and the baby was taken from her, or she placed the baby, well, 20 years hence, she may be still living the same lifestyle.
Right.
And as a result, this reunion, the child finds out, oh my gosh, my adoptive parents are the ones who are parents. This one is still struggling to grow up. And that had been the experience of three of our children.
That's just heartbreaking.
Mhm. Well, it made them appreciate us a lot.
Yeah. Well, I can understand that too. It's just you hate to hear stories where that's been the case. You just
I,
really do.
I talked to an adoption attorney once, and he was of the same mindset.
Hmm.
He said, yeah, this whole idea that this is going to be a wonderful, happy reunion, and now I've got five parents. He said, in my experience, that's a minority of the time.
Sure. That's the thing. We come into this idea of adopting, and we want it to be all unicorns and rainbows, and there's a lot of challenges. My experience, and I can tell from your experience too, is that if you stay the course, it can be positive, even though you have to deal with some challenges and some negative things. So,
I say this to the dads. This is critical to dads. Dads are naturally not as affectionate, as a rule, as moms. And if you, as a dad, have standards higher than the culture's, and your adoptive child sees this, and your adoptive child's thinking at age 14, how did I get stuck with you, you throwback Neanderthal? You got to really be affectionate with that kid. I'll tell you a simple story with my adopted son, Peter. Peter's black. He played basketball at high school, age 17. Before the games, I would go down right on the bleacher floor, right on the floor. And I'd grab him, I'd hug him, and I'd kiss him on the cheek like Italians do. And I would look up in the stands and I'd see all these parents gasping. This guy's breaking all the adolescent rules. You don't do this to your teenage kid. This is terrible. This is awful. And I asked him, I said, Petey, does that bother you when I do that? And he said, would it make any difference, Dad? I said, no, because no son of mine is going to tell me I can't hug him and kiss him anytime I want.
uh-huh.
Tim, he told me later, a couple of his teammates came up to him and said, I wish my dad would do that.
Really?
Hmm. That boy still hugs and kisses me every time he comes and goes because that's just been a part of our relationship.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, I'd love to end on a high note like that because that's where it can go if you just
Hmm.
have the perspective of you're going to persist. You're just
I
going to.
wouldn't change a thing, Tim. Even with all the bounces, I wouldn't change a thing.
Well, that's what my wife and I said. Knowing what we've been through, we would do it all over again. It's taught us a lot of things about ourselves, about how we need to be dependent upon God, and how we can help these boys. That's why we get into parenting. It's not to, have that 1 point, whatever your number was, 1.85, I think it was. We wanted to give these children a home, and that was the whole purpose of it. And so,
Well, if you're a Christian, the Lord's pretty clear. Many parents will say to me, "Well, I don't know. I don't know if I should adopt. I mean, I got a inclination, but I'm not sure what the Lord wants me to do." And I'll say, "Well, He wrote it down.
yeah,
Whoever welcomes a little one in my name welcomes me." Or St. James, who said, "This is faith that is pure and undefiled before the Lord, that we take care of the widows and the orphans in their distress." I said, so He wrote it down if you're thinking about it.
yeah, it's there. It's there. I really appreciate this conversation. You've offered a lot of great insights and tips for adoptive parents. If there's one thing you would want to leave them with, what would that be?
Many of the questions that you asked me are questions I get from adoptive parents.
Hmm.
Many. Uh, their nervousness and anxiousness before they adopt, wondering, am I going to attach to this child? Am I going to like this child? What's my grandmother going to think of this child of another race, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then afterwards, when do you talk about the adoption? How do you explain that their birth mother's in prison? What do you say about we don't know where your birth dad is? How do you do these things? All these things, Tim, I answer in my book, Adoption, Should You, Could You, and Then What? The book, you're not going to have a big seller when you write an adoption book. All I wanted to do was to get some parents to consider adoption who never have. And those parents who are moving through adoption to say, okay, let's make this smoother.
Sure. Okay. And we'll put a link to that in the show notes. Are there other ways that people can reach out to you?
Sure, my website's drray.com, drray.com. All the books are there and ways to contact me are there.
Okay. I'll have that in the show notes as well. So, again, thank you so much for taking time to speak to my audience. This has been a great conversation. I know it will help them persevere. That's the idea. We can all do this if we have information and we rely on God. So, thank you again for being here.
All righty, my friend.
Dr. Ray provided us with a wealth of information. Here are a few of the takeaways. Number 1, love is rarely the problem in adoptive families. Discipline and authority are often where parents struggle most. Number 2, calm, confident, and consistent parental authority helps prevent power struggles and keeps behaviors from escalating. Number 3, standards should not be lowered for children with more challenges. Instead, discipline should be balanced with increased affection, reassurance, and one-on-one connection. Number 4, only a minority of adoptees seek out birth parents, and reunions are not always positive or healing. And finally, number 5, not all adopted children struggle to attach, and attachment timelines vary widely by child. Please see the show notes for the ways you can connect with Dr. Ray. Before I go, I'd like to take a moment to share a biblical principle that has guided me and can be combined with Dr. Ray's wisdom. This is not just an idea to know, but something adoptive parents can actively practice in the way they support their children. I call it practicing pure and undefiled religion from James chapter 1, verse 27. It means actively caring for orphans and vulnerable children, not just in words, but in how we show up every day through patient guidance, consistent discipline, extra love and attention, while protecting their hearts and minds. Just as Dr. Ray shared, it's about persevering through challenges, giving hugs and one-on-one time, and providing a safe, loving home where a child can truly thrive. This is religion made practical, faith expressed through our actions, reflecting God's steadfast love to the children entrusted to our care. If you've been struggling to apply God's Word to your adoption story, I'd love to be a conduit for your healing. Please see the address in the show notes to reach out to me. That's all for this episode. I want to thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, this is Tim, encouraging you to do what you can now. I hope today's episode encouraged you to face the storms in your parenting journey with courage and confidence. If so, would you please share this episode with another adoptive parent? It would also bless me and the mission of this podcast if you would take a couple of minutes and leave a review for the show on Apple Podcasts. Until next time, this is Tim, encouraging you to do what you can now.